Okay, so here's the old Daimler. For years now, I'm not sure exactly how many years, but I've been running with the manifold disconnected from the heater circuit. I got fed up with the little T hoses bursting on me, so I took them off. And basically, currently the heater is connected to the water pump and just goes straight back to the inlet to the heater, the interior heater, and then it comes obviously out from there, back along the other side of the engine, and just comes straight underneath the carburetor and into the thermostat housing. So the manifold is just dry. There's no water in it at all, and that's been fine for years. So I'm kind of dubious as to how useful it is to have the manifold heated, but nevertheless, I thought it was about time that I put it back in the circuit. So that's the plan. Um, I'm not going to use the original hoses, the original style hoses. I've got some T pieces on order, some brass T pieces on order. These hoses, as you gather, they're not original. They're silicon rubber. I'm going to keep those and put in a T here and bring it up to the inlet to the manifold water jacket, and then put another T down below this carburetor on the left-hand side of the car, and feed it into the outlet from the manifold jacket. So I've got some bits on order, so two brass T's and a few stainless steel clips, and a bend. I've got a 90-degree bend to come off this, which is about 19 millimeters diameter. So there'll be a 90-degree bend there down to the T piece is the plan, and then just straight through on the other side. There's no need for a bend on that side. So we'll see whether it makes any difference to the running of the car. But at least it'll be back to the original intent with the heated manifold. So looking at the Daimler water system, this is a silicone hose that I've been waiting for months. They seem to have been completely out of stock for 6 months, I think. This particular size and in black. I could get a blue one, but somebody sent me a blue one, even though I'd ordered black. So I do actually still have that. I didn't want it back, but I stuck it out and waited for this. So this is 19 mil by 13. I think that's 150 long, so 6 inches long. But the plan is that this will go between the manifold and the water pump. So let me show you that. So the plan is that this 90 mil end, the wide end, is a perfect fit on there pretty much. So I need to trim that end off, probably to around there. Then it'll come down and join up nicely with a T-piece here. So that should work pretty well, I think, and be more robust than the original system. So I've drained some coolant out of the bottom of the radiator, so I can take these hoses off without the coolant leaking everywhere. I use this Evans stuff, which I know is controversial, but it's got no water in it. It's basically 100% glycol. I mean, it's definitely not as good as water thermodynamically, but the reason I use it is because of the aluminium heads and the iron block. These engines are prone to corrosion across the aluminium head face, and it starts to leak between the coolant channels and the combustion chambers. So that's the reason I've got it in, to try and avoid that corrosion happening as much, especially given this engine is static for such long periods of time. It's in everyday use. I think it would probably be okay with ordinary antifreeze and the corrosion inhibitors in that. But given that it's standing quite a lot of the time, I've chosen to use the Evans coolant, and it seems to work fine. It's been in there for probably 5 years now, and it seems to work as a coolant okay. So that's good. Right, so this hose here was on the top of the heater, so I had to pull that one out, I think. Right, there we go. It has got a just a copper pipe fitting on the end that goes from 15mm up to the right size for the water pump, which is that. So I might reuse that. We'll see how we go. I'm trying to minimize the number of joints above everything else and make sure that the joints that I have got are good. So that's one of the prime objectives behind this whole exercise. Right, so I'll take off this carburetor on this side, the left-hand one, and stiff. And that give me access to the manifold outlet on that side, so I can get that plumbed in as well. Getting these carburetors off is always a nightmare. This short spanner is quite good, but the ring won't fit on because there's no room around the side of the nut. So yeah, just a tedious process. I think whoever designed this should be made to spend their life taking the carbs off and put them back on again. Okay, so I've got the carb off. I might go take the one off, but yeah, looks okay. I'll check the diaphragm. That's the thing that seems to go on these. The diaphragm down the bottom here. If that starts leaking, you're in trouble. I did change them not so long ago, but always worth a look when it's off the car. Put a bit of rag in there, tissue actually. Stop stuff dropping out. The washer drop down here. There we go. Right, so the important thing is the outlet from the water jacket on the manifold is here. So basically this hose comes from the bottom of the heater. That needs to come round, and I'll have a T-piece in here, and then onto the thermostat housing. I'll do something with this as well probably. So yeah, should be alright. So that's trimmed slightly. Need to work out where it's going to go with respect to that as well. So that's fully on. I'll go down to there. I think what I'll do, obviously, got a hose come up here down to the water pump. I've got another reducing reducing elbow, but unfortunately, it's not going to be long enough. That would go on there. Actually, maybe it will. I might just reach that, mightn't it? Yeah, I think it will. That certainly fits. It's not ideal in that it doesn't need to be pushed over slightly. It's not coming vertically up. But there again, it's a nice, simple solution. Okay, that's worked out pretty well. So I've got this reducing elbow on this side, which fits straight onto the water pump. So I've eliminated the joint there for a start, and just comes up to my brass T-piece. Another reducing elbow onto the manifold, and this hose will go back to the heater shortly. So my previous reduction part is eliminated, and that used to be there somewhere with a clip on either end, obviously. So that's gone completely, and a joint is gone. In fact, I think two joints have gone. So yeah, quite happy with that. So there's a slight bend on this. It's not just going straight up and straight across. It's got a slight bow, but it's pretty minimal, and I think that'll be fine. Should last a few years, certainly. After looking at this again, this dynamo cable, I'm going to put it the other side of the hose. This is obviously quite a sharp edge on this aluminium cover, so it would make a lot of sense to make sure that there's no way it can rub against that sharp edge and short out. That's better. Got the cable on the other side now. Just reattach this clamp on the rocker box. Okay, so as part of the exercise of getting the manifold back in the circuit, I wanted to just tidy things up as best I could and get rid of the red tubing. So it's been on there for probably 20 years, but it's still absolutely fine. It's just plain silicon tubing with no reinforcement. But this has been looped over onto there, not this exact piece, but another one, and just use its flexibility to come back over to the underneath the carburetor. But I thought I'd just get some black version of this. But when I was looking online, I noticed that they do this clear stuff. So partly as an experiment, really, much as anything else, I'm going to use this for the back half up to the heater and back down to the thermostat. Just out of curiosity, really, to see what happens in terms of air locks up to the heater, that type of thing, and just the general flow through the system. So I'm going to put this in and fill it up and give it a go. Well, maybe we'll take it off, replace it with black in due course, but really, as an experiment, I'm going to try this. Okay, so I'm putting this clear hose on. I've got the one from this side up to the top of the heater and the other one back to the centre of the left-hand bank underneath the manifold. But I was about to put the front one on, and it used to just come up and be curved over just the length of this red silicon, and that was fine. But I've just noticed as I was about to fit the new one that this hole has been threaded, which I don't think I did. I might have done years ago, but that's interesting. So I'm thinking that perhaps if I can get a brass elbow fitting with that thread, I can put that in instead, perhaps. Might not fit under here. I might just take this alternator bracket off, but it's worth a try. So I'm just trying to measure what this thread is. It looks to be 1/2 inch diameter, but trying to measure the threads per inch is proving tricky. Trying to read it with these thread gauges down that hole is a pain. So I'm going to try a piece of blue tack. Actually, it's white tack actually. I was thinking if I stick that in, don't drop it in, I can take an impression of the thread and measure it more comfortably away from the engine. So I'll try that. So if I can make sure I don't drop this in, and just hold it down there and squish it against the thread. That's okay. Let's see if I can put it up against the gauge. Okay, it looks to me as if that is 20 threads per inch. Yeah, that's bang on. Okay, so 20 threads per inch on a 1/2 inch. Is there a British standard pipe thread that fits that? I'll go and look it up. Okay, 20 TPI on a 1/2 inch thread turns out to be UNF. So I've been looking for any type of fitting that might be suitable, and basically I can't find anything. There's loads of bits and pieces, but what I want, of course, is a male thread, but a hose push-on fitting, adapter on the other side, and I can't find anything like that. So I'm going to leave it for now. I may make one at some point, and I'd make it out of aluminium, so it's not a dissimilar metal to the thermostat housing. But so I'll leave that for now and sort that out at some future date. Right, so as you might gather, this I've been a bit all over the place with this exercise. So the objective was to bring the heated manifold back into play, to get rid of the red hoses and generally tidy the thing up as best I can. There's no reason for doing it really, just out of curiosity. The the cooling system's been working fine, but so I thought I'd change it just for the sake of it really, and to see what difference it makes with the heated manifold in. I've tried various things, as you probably gather from this video earlier, but this is what I've ended up with. I've got two of these reducing elbows from silicone hoses, 19mm to 13mm. This one is slightly bent, but it does actually fit pretty well. And the other one is exactly the same bend, just cut down differently, and that one's fine. The two brass T-pieces, so they're connected in now, and running to the heater, I've got these translucent silicone hoses again, which are identical to the red ones I used to have, but just translucent. So I'll be interested to see what goes on. So it goes up to the heater and back from the heater valve to the outlet from the manifold and then back to the thermostat housing. So yeah, I'll refill it and see how it goes. I've kept the stuff that I drained out, but I'll refill it with fresh anyway. Bubbling away. Right, but that's full to the brim in here. The bubbling is virtually stopped, but nothing is showing in the tubes over here, so I'm going to start the engine and see how we go. Okay, so I immediately got coolant in here. And there's coolant in the back hose over here to the heater valve. So I guess it's flowing into the manifold. It's flowing over here. You can see it moving. So there is some coolant up to the. Well, it's coming up there, isn't it? It's coming up to the heater now. That's the lower heater entry. Up to the valve. Let's make sure the valve is on. Put the cap on. There's definitely a lot going through here. And it's coming out the top of the heater. A lot of air trapped in it still though. While the engine was running, I did notice that it was leaking slightly. I could see bubbles coming from the joint here, which is the back of the timing cover. And sure enough, this bolt here, which is kind of extended because it holds on the dynamo mounting. The other bolts on that timing cover are up against the tin cover itself, but this one is loose. It's got a tag washer on it, so I'll just put the tag washer back. But a bit awkward to get to, but that's now tight. I'll check this one as well, but that was a good thing to find. So yeah, be blowing oil out of that joint and dripping down the front of the engine, so good to spot that and fix it. Anyway, otherwise, yeah, I mean, it seems to work all right. Came up to temperature. The coolant has drained back out of this tube, but it's still in the ones down the back, up to the top of the heater and round the back of the engine, up this side. There's a lot of air in these heater hoses, but that seems to be just the way things are. Anyway, so far so good. I'll take it out on the road when the weather's a bit warmer and see how we go from there. Okay, so thanks for watching,